I have waited in the darkness of space for YouTube to let its guard down because this is the moment we've been waiting for. To prove that the heroes who died fighting for the right to rank mobile suits didn't die in vain. For the rebirth and ideals of top 10 videos. For the success of the webinar. YouTube, I have returned. Yo, what's up? It's your boy William, and I am happy to be here handing out the second Golden Gundam Award. This time, things will be a little different because of the sheer lack of Gundams in 0083. So, in order to compensate, any and all mobile suits or mobile armors that appear in the anime are eligible to be on this list, but only 5 will be chosen. Just as before, each mecha will be evaluated on its abilities, its technical specifications, its equipment, its utilization, and its cool factor. The top 5 will receive a place in the rankings, and the top 3 will be granted a special honor, but only the winner will earn the award of awards, the Golden Gundam. Before we kick things off, let's talk a little about the source material. 0083 Stardust Memory revolves around Operation Stardust, Admiral Delaz's secret plan to revive Zeon after its defeat in the One-Year War. It follows Ensign Ko Uraki and his struggles to defeat the legendary Anavel Gato and put the final nail in Zeon's coffin. Unlike the last video, this anime only has a mere 3 Gundams in it, but it plays host to some of the coolest mobile armors and mobile suits in the entire Gundam universe. It happens to be my favorite of all the Gundam series, and I am proud to have the opportunity to rank the mecha that appear in this anime for you today. Unlike Mobile Fighter G Gundam, most of the mecha in this anime is controlled using airplane-style cockpits with the pilot in a seated position. This is in line with the way that most Gundam anime approaches the idea of controlling something like a mobile suit. Being that this takes place a short time after UC 0079, all mobile suits in this anime are children of the Zeonic Company's Ambox system and make use of much more conventional style armaments. One other thing of particular note is that there are no new types involved in combat during this anime, and it takes place just before the advent of the Psychomu system. So, this is even more conventional in that it doesn't feature any of that pesky space new type magic. Since this list is shorter than usual, there are 2 honorable mentions that did not make this list, but that I still think are awesome. Those 2 are the YMS-16M Zommel, which is the very first heavy artillery mobile suit ever designed, and the highly mobile and powerful AGX-04 Gerbera Tetra, which may very well have made this list if it saw more use in the hands of a better pilot. With those behind us, let Operation Top 5 commence. Number 5, MS-21C Draw C. With an overall height of 29.8 meters and a maximum weight of 49 metric tons, this chimera of a mobile suit boasts the utility and capabilities of a mobile suit, coupled with the mobility of a space fighter bomber. It was first created by the Delaz fleet after the One-Year War by combining parts from a Zaku 2 F2 type and parts from a Gödel space-use fighter bomber. The resulting machine is a high-speed assault mobile suit that was mostly used for patrolling, reconnaissance, and sabotage. This machine sacrifices some of its mobility by replacing a lot of the Ambox system with propellant tanks and vernier thrusters, and thus is not as maneuverable as a regular mobile suit, but in return, it has ridiculous acceleration, a very high top speed, and is incredibly cost-effective to maintain and operate. It is lightly armed with a shield made of battleship plating that houses a small generator, an ECAP system, a radiator, and a beam saber that is affixed to the top of the shield. The Draw C's right forearm is replaced with a 3-barrel 40mm Vulcan cannon that is essentially a pea shooter, good only for disabling sensors or attacking poorly armored targets. This is such an inventive mobile suit. Up to this point, nothing like this had been produced or even conceived. Being created by a group of remnant forces looking to maximize their effectiveness as a rogue space force while keeping the cost low, it accomplished exactly what it was intended to do, and it was perfectly suited for guerrilla tactics and espionage in any theater of space combat. This mobile suit saw extensive use in the Delaz fleet's Operation Stardust, the Axis fleet's involvement in the Grips conflict later on, and once more under the banner of the Sleeve some 13 years after it was first pieced together. Truly one of the most useful, well-utilized, and enduring mobile suits ever created. Number 4, MA-06 Val Wallo. Boasting an overall height of 22.5 meters, an overall length of 68 meters, an overall width of 46 meters, and a maximum weight of 379.8 metric tons, this massive machine soars in just outside the top 3. Developed near the tail end of the One-Year War from the MA-05 Bigro, only 3 of these marvelous mobile armors were ever produced. Featuring heavy, sloped armor that rendered it nearly impervious to beam fire and its ancestors' high rate of acceleration and top speed, this mecha was not only hard to get in the crosshairs, but it wasn't even a guarantee that the shot would do any damage. Armed to the teeth with a large megaparticle cannon, 2 large claw arms, 2 dual-tube missile launchers, 2 anti-aircraft beam guns, 4 110mm Vulcan guns, and 3 plasma leaders, which were launched from the Val Wallo around an enemy mobile suit that then produced a debilitating shockwave that disabled anything unlucky enough to be caught in between them. Only one is known to have survived the One-Year War, which was later modified to be used by a pilot with 1 arm. This final surviving unit was briefly used as a member of Delaz's fleet for Operation Stardust. What a machine we have here. In the hands, or rather hand, of Kelly Laesner, this mobile armor damn near took down a Gundam, and I am personally inclined to think that if Mr. Laesner had 2 arms and didn't have to modify it, the Val Wallo would have then been able to easily take down the GP-01 and then would have went on to terrorize anyone that faced it. It's actually sort of scary to imagine what Kelly Laesner and Ana Velgato could have done as a team with the Val Wallo and the new HCL. The Federation is lucky that Ko won that fight. Beyond the what-ifs, this mobile armor reminds me a lot of the very first jet plane ever created, the Messerschmitt Me-262, because much like the Sturmvogel, this weapon was terrifyingly powerful, exceptionally good at maneuvering, and its enemies had nothing like it or anything capable of dealing with it head-on until much later. If more than 3 Val Wallos were made and given to capable pilots like Kelly Laesner, one has to think that the Federation would have had a much more difficult time taking a Bawaku, even with Amuro Ray and all of his new type space magic. Number 3, RX-78 GP-02A Gundam Physalis. Blowing the top 3 wide open at 19.5 meters tall and weighing in at 83 metric tons is the winner of our Bronze Gundam, the RX-78 GP-02A Gundam Physalis. This spectacular achievement of design and production was originally conceived as the Federation making a Gundam that functioned like the Dom series, in a heavy assault role, but eventually its development morphed into just being the strongest mobile suit ever made, which led to the incorporation of nuclear weapons. Armed with the traditional 2 60mm Vulcan guns in the head, 2 prototype AE Blash AEXB-909L beam sabers, 1 AE/ZG-BAZ-01H6-A atomic bazooka loaded with 1 Mark 82 nuclear warhead rocket, and 1 NR-SH-02-RX/S-00013 shield, this Gundam is truly a fearfully powerful mobile suit and a worthy entry in anyone's top 3. Its shield is designed to protect the Physalis from the effects of a nuclear blast, as well as housing a very powerful liquid nitrogen cooling system. It features armor made primarily of lunar titanium, with the legs being more heavily armored due to the shield being unable to cover the lower extremities. Now, you might think with all of that, this thing has to be slow, and that would be wrong. Despite its heavy weight, this suit is able to maneuver at high speeds and outrun other suits with lower weights because its prototype power plant was indeed the most powerful power plant used in any mobile suit at this time. On top of all of that, this thing was piloted by the absolute legend Animo Gato and was used to great effect. In another pilot's hands, this mobile suit is a veritable battleship in terms of destructive power, but in Gato's hands, it is elevated to something far more deadly that boasts a kill-to-death ratio that is pretty much incalculable. Full disclosure, this is probably my favorite Gundam ever created for various reasons, including its pilot, so there's some heavy bias that's about to come your way. Considering how powerful this bad boy is and how well it was used by its eventual pilot, Animo Gato, this mobile suit is worthy of any list's top spot, and its position in this ranking should tell you just how much reverence I have for the next two machines. With that said, the GPO-2A is simply marvelous, and in the hands of Animo Gato, it not only achieved its intended purpose, but far exceeded any expectations that the original design team likely had for it. When you consider that Anaheim Electronics poached most of the designers of this from the Zeonic Company after the One-Year War, they were probably thrilled to find out that Gato was even alive, much less that he stole it from the Federation and used it to wreak havoc on them. All in all, this is a fantastically designed machine that far outperformed any of its desires' wildest dreams and was used by arguably the best old-type pilot to ever lay hands on a mobile suit's control system. Number 2, RX-78 GPO-3D Gundam Dendobrium. Overwhelming the competition all the way to the number 2 spot, we have the winner of the Silver Gundam, the RX-78 GPO-3D Gundam Dendobrium. With an overall height of 38.5 meters, an overall length of 140 meters, an overall width of 62 meters, and with a super thick maximum weight of 453.1 metric tons with its full complement, this machine is one of the most ambitious and heavily armed mecha to ever see the light of day in any Gundam series. This Gundam consists of 2 parts. The Gundam Stamen, which acts as a control unit, and the armed base, Orcus, which houses all of its weapons and acts as an upgrade of sorts that transforms this from a mobile suit into a mobile armor. The Orcus is armed with a battleship-grade mega beam cannon, 2 large claw arms, each equipped with a high-powered beam saber, a 108-tube micro-missile pod, an 84-tube micro-missile pod, a 3-tube large missile pod, a demolition chain, which is a rocket-guided 500-plus meter long cable that is encased with explosives that is designed to seek and destroy large targets without ever actually having to hit them, an XBR-BOWA M-82A beam rifle, a beam jute designed to stop enemy beam saber attacks, a folding bazooka, and a folding shield that can store extra magazines for its beam rifle. The Stamen portion makes use of special folding arms to access all of these weapons, which are stored in containers on the Orcus. The Orcus is also equipped with an I-field generator and numerous chaff launchers all around its body to increase its defensive capabilities. This unit was designed along with the other Gundam Project mobile suits. However, this one was made with the intended purpose of being a space fortress defense unit, and as such, the designers accomplished this by combining the utility of a Gundam with the all-consuming firepower and mobility of a mobile armor. Needless to say, this thing accomplished that purpose of area dominance and defense, even if it was destined to lose to the winner of this ranking. Once again, we have a literal marvel of design on this list that is worthy of any ranking's top spot. When we consider the mobile suits that were produced in the Gundam Project line, what they were intended for, and what they accomplished, it's rather easy to conclude that the design teams at Anaheim Electronics were very good at their jobs. With that said, this has got to be one of the coolest ideas for a mobile suit that has ever been attempted, much less completed. One has to imagine that the Federation would have been much better off dealing with the Operation Stardust thing had they been equipped with more than one Dendobrium to defend their various space fortresses. Sadly for them, only one of these was ever made, and it was piloted by someone who was never going to be as good as his main rival. One can only imagine what a new type, or what someone like Animo Gato could have done with the vast array of armaments and defensive capabilities of the Dendobrium. Before we reveal the winner, let's have a quick recap of the rankings so far. Number 5, MS-21C Draw C. Number 4, MA-06 Val Wallow. Number 3, RX-78 GPO2A Gundam Physalis. And number 2, RX-78 GPO3D Gundam Dendrobium. Now we will reveal the winner of the Award of Awards, the Golden Gundam. And the winner is number 1, AMX-002 Nuetziel. Soaring through space to the number 1 spot is the winner of our Golden Gundam Award, the AMX-002 Nuetziel. With an overall height of 76.6 meters, an overall width of 73.6 meters, and a maximum weight of 403.5 metric tons, this fearsome mobile armor's elegant design was inspired by a swallowtail butterfly. Armed with a mega beam cannon that is mounted in its waist and connected directly to its generator, 9 rapid-fire mega particle cannons mounted across the body, 4 large missile launchers mounted in its hips, 2 6-tube missile launchers also mounted in the hips, 2 wired claw arms that house mega particle cannons that are also capable of emitting beam sabers for close combat, and a total of 4 hidden sub-arms that function identically to the wired claw arms. It carries a detachable auxiliary propellant tank on its back. It has 4 I-field generators, granting it 360-degree protection from beam weaponry, and finally it sports the impressive half control system, which uses a computer-guided system to control the wire-guided claw arms in such a way that it enables a 360-degree all-range attack, which was previously only able to be performed by new types before its creation. Developed and manufactured by Axis and born from Haman Karn's love for Char Aznavour, this mobile armor has a complicated history and was developed from the ANA-00GR with the intended purpose of area defense. Barring its successor, which never saw the light of day, this is easily my favorite mobile armor out of the entire Gundam universe. Its slick design, its well-hidden yet extremely powerful armaments, its incalculable death-to-kill ratio, and the pilot who used it all factor into that opinion. The Nuetziel was only on screen for a short 3 episodes in this OVA, but in Gato's capable hands, it defeated many battleships, disabled Basque-Ohm's Solar System 2, and destroyed the formidable Dendrobium. Generally speaking, one can expect any mobile armor built prior to the Nuetziel to have a high amount of destructive force at its disposal, but this particular mobile armor incorporates that assumed power with ridiculously high mobility and high-end defensive measures, which makes it the absolute pinnacle of mobile armor technology at the time. Beyond its proposed upgrade, I posit that the Nuetziel is still unmatched even by the slew of mobile armors that came after it. One could easily put the Nuetziel in any timeline, give it a propulsion system and armor material on par with the best of that era, and it would dominate, even in the hands of a lesser pilot than Anavo Gato. It is essentially the Cubile of its generation, and if its successor was ever completed, it's hard to imagine anything ever being able to take it down, as the Nuetziel 2 was designed to be piloted specifically by Char Aznavour, and it incorporated a psycho frame and funnels of its own. Truly a terrifying thought. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this top 5, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Got your own top 5 for this OVA or disagree with this list? Tell us about it in the comments. With that said, that's it and that's all. Thanks again for watching, and remember, I'm the enemy, you idiot!